Frank Caliendo is here.
Wow, you guys are so lucky to have me.
I know.
Did you just fly in or what?
I got in late last night. Yeah.
So you had what, like 3 hours of sleep?
A couple.
Yeah.
A couple. I got my Diet Coke ready. Because what chubby guy doesn't drink Diet Coke? Hakuna Matata.
We've got so much stuff to talk to you about that happened on our show yesterday around you.
Really?
Oh, that was so funny. You've met...
That's the only time I've ever had like my reputation has preceded myself, and I don't know if I can live up to it.
Well, Breeze Cat has been...
Annoying me online. He's been great. He's been great.
But he's the one who set up the whole thing. He came in one day and said, "Hey, would you guys like to have? He's coming to town. Would you like to have Frank Caliendo?" Sure, yeah. Not thinking he'd be able to do anything with it. The next day he comes back. We didn't know he was a member of the fan club and all this stuff. But he purchased 4
You're
tickets.
the one. That's what it is.
He purchased 4 tickets to your show.
Right.
And which is Friday night, right? Is it Friday night?
Yeah.
In Charlotte?
Yeah, in Charlotte at Ovens Auditorium. Ticketmaster, you know. Here's a guy who break it, and I'm like, oh, boom, there you figure it out. Yeah, okay, yeah. So go ahead.
So he buys 4 tickets, and then he uses them to go around all of the girls at work to try to get a date. And every one of them, including the girl that was on the radio the other night that he called when he was drunk. They all tried. Like, some of me wanted to buy the tickets from him. I'll buy them from you.
Well, I was going to say that's the first time in the history of radio that somebody from a radio station has actually bought tickets. When does that ever happen? It's always like, yeah, can we get 60?
Not even Harry Potter to him.
Yeah, well, I'm Harry Potter to a lot of people. I don't want to even explain what that means. Dear sweet heaven, what is happening to this interview? Good.
So yeah, so he was flashing them around us and like, ooh, look what you could have had if you didn't have a boyfriend.
Look what you could have had.
I've got Frank Caliendo tickets right here.
Wow.
I'm just fanning myself with my Frank Caliendo tickets. It is so hot out here today.
That is awesome.
Well, it's not awesome yet because he's 0 for 4 and hasn't people out.
No, but that's awesome. Just that I'm being used to fan, and also as a under the breath.
Reach into my pocket and get one.
Nice.
So when you do, you're obviously well known for being I think the best impressionist impersonator in the business
correct.
Today.
You're correct. I really am. No, you know, it's just fun for me. It's when I always did. I've been hearing lately, like a lot of people will say, "Well, Fred Travolina, who's like old school,
He was a Smurf even.
Yeah. It was when they were still spelling school SCHOOL instead of with the KEW. And here's a guy who's not even sure if that's how you spell it anywhere. By the way, John Mann's like my conscience, and so if I don't know what's going on, I'll just circle myself. You see me do that in everyday life once in a while. Here's a guy who doesn't want to pay that much for gas. Eat a sentence halfway through. Hey, that predicate tastes better than the subject right there. Put a little prepositional phrase on there. Boom, you got a short sentence. There we go. But, you know, observations like with President Bush, like he'll get to the end of the sentence and he can't think of that last word, and you find yourself kind of rooting for him to get it. It's like a scene from The Water Boy. You're like, you can do it, you know. You want him to get there so bad, be talking about something serious like the terrorists. Be like, these terrorists, these guys are bad. Good choices, dude. Bad and not good. I'm sorry, but that took too long.
Here's the example that we play on the show all the time of Bush doing that.
Shame on you. It can't fool again.
You can't. They think you will, but it won't.
How old were you when you started doing that? I mean, when you figured out you could do voices and stuff like that?
I did some of it as a kid, but I mean, it was like Muppet voices, and I would watch it in living color. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Like the Damon Wayans character. You know, that kind of a thing. Stuff I could never do on stage because it's other people's sketch characters. But yeah, I started just doing it a little bit. When I graduated from college, I didn't want to work for real. Mm-hmm. So I went to school for broadcast journalism, and I don't know if you guys know how that, you know, maybe it didn't happen for you, but for most people, you have to start in a really small city, and nobody cares that you're alive, and you make $5 a week, you know. So I didn't want to do that. So I tried stand-up comedy, and It just worked. It clicked. So I was actually working within weeks instead of usually it takes somebody like 3 or 5 years to get up there, and so.
Ooh, aren't you something?
No, I'm really special. Is what I'm trying to say.
This guy might be talking about himself a little bit too much.
Listen, it happens. You try to be a regular guy, but it just so happens that if you're like me, you're the president of Earth, king of America, land of the free, home of the Whopper.
This would be great right now. This early. I mean, you having a Whopper. I mean, I don't know what it's not too all beef patties, special sauce. I mean, that's another kind of thing. But I think to get that kind of stuff, and the Whopper. You would sometimes why?
I love the Valves.
We're talking to Frank Caliendo. How often do you hear somebody or see somebody? What is it about them that makes you decide, I got to learn that one?
I don't know. It's just weird little things. The guy I've been working on lately is Barkley, Charles Barkley, because that guy is everywhere. And he changes words completely. Like the word terrible, he drops half of it. Be like, I was terrible. I was terrible. He's crazy. So... and he's everywhere. And what's the other guy? The other thing he calls everybody knuckleheads. Yeah, knucklehead. And then he pretends to like somebody and then rips them to shreds. Like he's talking about LeBron James, and LeBron James, who's arguably one of the best basketball players of all time already, pretty much. And he's like, I love LeBron, but he's terrible. He don't play no defense. Such a knucklehead. And you in my 5? Are you in my 5? Dwayne Wade in my 5.
Yeah, let's see who's in my 5. Bill Clifton, Laura, and there's like 6 others.
I mean, that's a pretty bad math.
That's some terrible math right there. I was terrible. You gotta learn how to add.
And he's got with the Bush, the facial expressions are on as well.
Of course.
Dead on. And you do that in the mirror. You learn the voice first, then go to the mirror and learn the expression. Or does it all just come together?
I don't do this stuff in the mirror anymore. I can kind of just tell. I used to do it, and then the first time I started doing President Bush, I realized I looked like he got stung by a bee and had an allergic reaction.
My face got puffified.
That was terrible. That was crazy.
Here's a guy who's going to keep going back to the Barkley as long as it keeps working.
Work for this.
So did it with this. Whoa!
That was a Pacino sticking in there. I'm just doing